guys, Gary here for GMVFX. Just another lovely one of these little tutorials coming your way. But this week is a little less tutorially, even though it kind of is. And it's more like a one by one. But, you know, in saying that, it could be a bit of a somewhere in between. Mainly because what I'm going to talk about today is about something which is used a lot in those lovely little loopy videos that you see on Instagram all the time, you know, when it's like, oh, something rolls in and then it sort of like shifts and moves somewhere else, and then a little bit later on another one comes and another one comes and then the first one repeats itself and you've got this perfect little loop. This sort of stuff is used a lot for that. And in fact, I'll probably use it as a kind of example to put together for the beginning of this. If not the beginning of this, it'll probably be at the end of this. But we'll see. Anyway, as you can probably see here, we have our vanilla blender, but it's not quite vanilla, and I'll go into this because I'm going to start to build a few little bits and bobs. And the reason why I say it's not quite vanilla is because what I am going to use is something which is in the software, hidden away in those beautiful add-ons. It's already there. You haven't got to try and find it. It's basically extra meshes, and extra meshes gives you lots and lots of wonderful things. But we're going to use some pipes just for speed. So basically, what I'm on about here is I've got to preferences, and I've come over here. You can see here we've got add mesh extra objects. I won't open all the gumph about it, but there's loads of stuff in there making bolts and all sorts of stuff in Bolt Factory. But if I click on the documentation and have a look, but mine's already turned on. If yours isn't turned on, just go up here and just type in extra, and then if we just turn that off, extra mesh objects, and there you can see it's just there. There you go, lovely, really nice, all visible. And then when you go to the object, go to add mesh, you'll see down here geodesic dome. I've obviously got the landscape, arch mesh stuff, which is really, really useful. The rock generator, a single vertice, which is always perfect. But down here we've got pipe joints. Now, and gears, obviously, gears are brilliant as well. And diamonds and extras, little things like that. But this pipe joints, these are really, really useful. So I'm going to start first of all, let's just get rid of that default cube. Sacrilege. Goodbye default cube. And let's delete the light as well. I'm going to leave the camera. No, we're going to leave the camera because I'll probably end up needing it anyway. I'm a very needy person. I always need stuff. But let's begin. I'm going to add a mesh and I'm going to add a UV sphere because I like them. And I'm going to go here and just do a shade smooth. And I'm going to leave it exactly as it is. Now, what we've got there is it's 2 meters by 2 meters by 2 meters, if you think about it. And I'm going to leave it so it is, in fact, in the origins at that point. I'm just going to leave it there. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to add another mesh, and I'm going to go and add a pipe joint, and I'm going to add a pipe elbow. Now there are some really nice ones in here. You can do a T joint if you want a pipe that goes both ways, and a Y joint that also goes two ways. Think about that way. There's the T joint is like a T pose. Y joint is like a Y pose. A cross joint, which is basically a cross, and an end joint, an end joint's one of them things. And you think to yourself, well, what would you use that for? You'd be surprised. I know someone who's got something like that under his sink. Anyway, let's go back to this again. And let's go to pipe joint. I'm just going to create an elbow. And I'm going to pop open this down here so we can see the operator stuff. Now, there are no setups at all. But you'll notice there's the radius, which is set to 1 meter. And I'm going to leave that at 1 meter because the radius is good at that size for a little ball, even though it's not going to be moving out of it. The divisions we're going to leave at 32. The angle, I'm going to change the angle from 45. In fact, let's just watch this happen. It's lovely, this. If I just pull it, ooh, and there you go. As you're moving up that value, it's actually changing that. So I like that. So let's change that to 90 because I want it to be a right angle. And the start length, I'm going to make that 2 meters. And the end length, I'm going to make that, let's make that 6 meters just for the sake of argument, just because I've got a little bit of extra. And I'm going to leave it where it is because I'm going to adjust it in a second. So what I'm going to do is I want something that I can essentially lift the ball up with. Now, that's reasonably good as it is, but what I want to do is make it a little bit more comfy looking, if you see what I mean, here. Now, I'm just going to basically what we do is just bevel that edge. So let me go Alt and click on this loop here. There you go. If you press Alt, keep your finger on Alt, not Alt, grrr. Always sounds angry, that one does. But on Alt, you click on that and it'll pick any of your loops. If you press Shift and Alt after that, it'll pick any loops and it'll add it to the amount that you've got at the time being. But let's just unclick that and press Alt and just click on that particular loop. So it's quite useful. And now I'm going to press Control B, and I'm going to pull back from that point, and I'm going to let go about there. Now, what I'm then going to do is go into the segments and just increase the number of segments that are there. So it's just smoothed a tiny, tiny bit. And I'm going to leave all of this literally as it is. I wanted to go into custom. I could do. I don't want to mess with anything else. You can go, oh, I set it to width. Well, let's set it to depth. Oh, yeah, let's set it to depth. Oh, that's good. And then you think, well, actually, no, that's completely pointless. It's not the shape I want. So let's do it again. I go Control B and pull it back and change it back from that to offset. And let's make that just a little bit wider. Yeah, not too wide. That'll do. I'm then going to make use of that select again, the Alt select, and I'm going to click that face, and I'm going to press F to fill it, and do the same here. I'm going to click that edge and press F to fill that. I'm now going to press I to inset that face, and I'm going to press Extrude. I'm going to pull that out. Why not? I just fancy making it look a bit funny on that edge. And here I'm going to pick this face. So let's go press 3 on the keyboard. You can go 1, 2, 3 in edit mode for vertices, edges, or faces. Pick this face. I'm going to press I to inset here, and I'm going to press E, and I'm going to go up with this one. So it just looks a bit more like a pipe. Okay, let's very quickly go to front view, and I'm going to go into object mode. So you can see at the moment, this is where the object's origin is now, because I just like to move it a bit more. The way I just tend to do this thing is say, right, let's just leave that there, leave that exactly where it is. Let's pick on face, let's press L to pick everything, and let's go G and then X, and I'm going to move this so that origin is round about there. Go back to object mode. I can lift it from here, I can rotate it from here. It's just doing what it does. And I'm going to bring this, I'm going to pull it over here, I'm going to place it just above that ball. I think, yeah, just above that ball. In fact, let's move it up like that. Okay. Now I'm going to rename this elbow joint to out pipe, because it's going to be the one that's going to hit the ball out of the shot. That's what I'm going to say. So I'm going to make a duplicate of that by pressing Shift D and doing the old malarkey, and then pressing Escape, so it puts it back exactly where it was. And I'm going to go into object mode, and I'm doing this because I don't want anything messed around with the scale and the rotation. I want those to be reset, and I don't want. I know I can reset them by applying it afterwards. In fact, I'll do it that way so you can see, in case you don't know. At the moment, we look at this, I want this to be underneath, and I want it to be rotated 180 degrees, so I'll press R and 180, so I can move this under here. So I can move it to about there. So that is there. In fact, let's move this ever so slightly down. Let's go back to the side view, and let's, in fact, I'll tell you what, I'm going to do. I'm going to move this down to about here. I'm going to move this up to about here, and if we press N on the keyboard, you can see the rotation and scale on this are all set to there, set applied, as it were, which means there's no rotations in the axes, and the scales are all set to 1. I'm going to pick that, and you can see it's different. The scales are correct, but the rotations are all out of whack. So what I need to do is to apply those. So if we go Object, Apply, Rotation, and that means that the translations are nicely moved away from the origin, but they're not ruined, and the scale and now the rotation are applied at their set points. So what we're going to do is, and I said this is actually going to be quite a quick one, I am going to pick this ball, and I've got this pipe which is called out pipe .001. I'm going to call this in pipe. So we've got our sphere, which I will call in out, if I can spell, I can right here, ball. There we go. And I'm going to make sure that this ball is a child of this pipe. Okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to pick the ball, and we're going to go to this little gear thing here. It's quite nice, and that's where you add object constraints. So let's go add object constraint. I'm going to go child of. So this ball will become a child of whatever I select. And I'm going to pick this pipe. So now if I pick this pipe and I rotate this, that ball goes with it. Okay. I'm now going to pick this pipe, but actually, no, not just yet. No, I'm going to animate this pipe. Yeah, that's what I'm going to do. Let's do that. So let's go into animation. Let's have a look, and that's where our camera is looking at. So let's just adjust this camera so it's looking still where it's looking, because I quite like the angle. But if we press T on the keyboard and we do this and we change this from global to local, it's a local axis for local people. I'm going to pull this back like this. Oh, I'm going the wrong way. I'm going to keep pulling this back like this. There we go. Until you can see the bottom pipe and the top pipe. And you can't see the joins on either of them really. In fact, let's just move that down a tiny bit. That's nice. I quite like that. That's a good angle. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this pipe and I'm going to rotate it in the Z by 180. In fact, let's do it by minus 180. And I'm going to insert a keyframe, and then we'll go to frame 25, I think. Yeah. And we'll set that to 0. And insert a keyframe. So what we get is boom. In fact, that's a little too fast. So let's take these keyframes and move them to 50. And then at 70, actually no, let's make it 80. Let's take this pipe and let's rotate this one. Oh dear, all the axes. Let's rotate this one. Which way? That way or this way? I think we rotate this one this way. Yeah, let's do that. So now here we are, and we're going to put into the keyframe there, and we're going to go to 120. So that basically is the same as the 50 frames we've got in the first place. So let's move that over here, and we can see that that's got to be 180. So and then we insert the keyframe there. So what we end up is ball goes, that goes over the ball, and then that one goes out. Now at the moment it's a child of this pipe. It ain't a child of that pipe. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the ball here, right, and I'm going to wait till frame 50. What I'm going to do is change this to the side view, and I can still move this ball. This is one of the nice things about this parenting, is it's not set in stone, the parenting. It's not like you've done it and that's it. It's a child of it, it will go with it, but you can still move it, and that is brilliant. So I've moved that down so that's kind of resting inside of that pipe. I am going to now, at frame 50, I'm going to insert a keyframe. I'm going to go up to frame 80, and I'm going to move this ball to here. Okay? And I'm going to insert another keyframe. So now that goes to there, that pops up, and then that goes out. But here's the thing, we want this ball to now be the child of this pipe. So what we need to do is go back to this ball and go back to the gear, and we add another child constraint. And what we're going to do is going to pick this pipe. Now you'll notice there's constraint points. You can see they're there, they're little blue lines. You don't see them in here, of course, because everything that's basically there in the animation view in here is turned off. Anything that's not the geometry, anything that's not something physically in the scene, is all turned off. So there's no navigation, there is no, if I turn this on you can see it all, just turn it all off. It's really quite nice and simple. In fact, that's one of the wonderful little buttons. I love show overlays. The fact that I can just turn them all off, it's brilliant. So now we have the ball coming in, and then it raising up, and then it's going out. But it's still a child of the other object. So if I accidentally took this pipe and I put a rotation in this now, watch what happens. And this is the problem that we have with this. I then rotate this, and it rotates that ball as well. So that's not good. We don't want to do that. So what we need to do is we need to do something with the ball so that it follows the obvious influence of this one first, and then when it reaches anywhere between these two, doesn't matter, anywhere between these two, when neither of them are moving, the influence on this one goes off and this one comes on. So let's go here. In fact, let's do it here. So the first one is a child of in pipe. So we want that influence there to be 1. So I'm going to insert a keyframe there, and I'm going to do this. I'm going to set that one to 0, and I'm going to insert a keyframe there. I'm now going to move this over to here, and just before that reaches the other way, I'm gonna whoops, sorry, I'm gonna set that to 0, insert a keyframe, and set that one to 1, and insert a keyframe. So now what happens is that it doesn't matter what I do to those other pipes, that is happening exactly as it should. So you can see that, so that goes to there, and then what I want to do is I want to take this pipe here, and because at frame probably 150, I think it's probably the best one, I want this to be back where it is. So I want this to be back over here where it starts. So and let's say, so 150 was the one I wanted. Or was it? No, yeah, 150. 150 is the one that we want. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to keyframe the rotation. So let's move this around. So let's where's it's N. There we go. Or we could always do that as well. Minus 180. Insert keyframe, and that will start to go back. You see straight away. So we'll go to the ball. You can see spins a bit with it. So I'm going to put in the keyframe that resets this, not until about 120. Yep. Was it 0? Yeah. So let's do that and insert a keyframe there. So what we have now is like a hold between that and that, so that goes away. And then what we can do is we can take this one here, and when that's gone to there, 150, we're going to bring that back. So let's set that back to 0. Obviously we've got the ball, so we need to do something to get rid of that ball. So what we're going to do is probably one of the basic things in the world is we're just going to scale it to 0. It's a really handy way of doing it. So that ball takes it, it goes up. That one takes it out, or at least almost takes it out. And so let's adjust this camera so it definitely just pops out of view. Let's just do that. Hang on with me a sec. Where's our camera? There it is. So let's just, well, in fact, let's do it the easy way. Let's press 0 and then go to view and then camera to view, and we can look down the camera. And I'm just going to move this to there. Let's move that like that. So it's still kind of in the middle. There you go. So that there it goes in, goes up, goes out, and then resets. So when it resets to 150, it's the same as the first frame, but with the ball. So the ball goes up, it goes over there. The moment it goes over there, we're going to hit the scale, and we're going to go insert keyframe, and then we're going to go one frame further, set that to 0, that 0, and go insert keyframe. So now I know that my sequence starts and ends at 150. So I'm going to go set that to 150 like that. And then if we just pop into, let's go into the shading view, because it's nice and pretty when it's in the shading view, even though it's all wrong. And I've got no shaders on it. In fact, let's do that very quickly. First things first, object, shade smooth. And I pick this one and we go object and a shady smoothie. And then we'll just very quickly, if I just drag up and set this to a timeline. There we go. So I can see it all. Go back here and press play. Comes in with the ball's rising up, it gets taken out, the arms reset, ball comes in, the ball goes up, the ball goes round, and it all resets. So there you go. That's kind of exactly the sort of thing that we're talking about. It's a very, very simple thing. It's a very, very simple thing, but you know, with the right shaders, you can sort of make it look a bit more fancy. And let's reduce the roughness on that, and let's change that and make that a little bit paler. Make it a bit paler, and then we will bring down the roughness and make the specularly high. And let's make it a bit more metallic. Oh yeah, oh yeah. So let's make it pale. That's what I wanted to do. That's the jobby. That sounds wrong. And then let's very quickly add a shader to this, and let's make it something a bit more metallic-y, and maybe with a hint of blue. And then let's add that same one to this one, and then if we can, I'm trying to think how we do this in the view. Now I do know that you can make this area darker around it, but I can't remember how. So I am going to just press play. In fact, let's just bring up that first of all, go to the view, and we're not locked in, so that's fine. So we'll just do this. I am sure there must be a way. It's in camera, isn't it? That's what it is. It's in camera, And what you do is the passepartout is what it's called, and I will find it. And the passepartout, there it is, and we just make it black. There we go. Press play. See what happens. Oh, let's see what happens. Oh, in comes the ball. Up goes the ball. Out goes the ball. And then all resets. And in comes the ball. You see, now that's it. I've done it. My work here is done. That is the child constraints and one of those little loopy things I've always wanted to do and I've never had the time to do. So personally, I'm happy. I'm very happy. I have succeeded in exactly what I wanted to do, and it's taken me very little time. And actually, it's been there are so few little mistakes, just made a tiny one there, that I might be able to get away without editing this one, which is just bonkers. See, this is it. I'm 24 in now. I'm actually done 24 of these things. Here's the thing. We're in a palindromic situation here, because a palindrome is when a word like the name Eve or like the band ABBA or there is another word I can think of, but I can't think of right now. It's the same spelt forwards and backwards. I have done 24 videos and I have 42 subscribers. Now, there's something in that. I mean, apart from the whole, part of the old not Back to the Future. What am I talking about? The old Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy thing, 42, meaning of life. 24 was my best age, I think. I can't remember, it was too long ago. But 2442, it's a palindrome style number thing. That's the reason why this has gone so well, and I've got to stop now before I make a complete pig's ear. So, can I just say, thank you so much. I hope you've enjoyed this. This has been top for me. I'm sure it'll be top for you. If it's not top for you, that's fine. But if you could just subscribe and tell your friends to subscribe, and let's just keep on coming back, because the more that I can give you, the happier I am. All this makes me have joy in my soul. And if you can't have joy in your soul, where can you put it? Honestly, I'm as I say, loving this. It's all great. Please subscribe. Tell your friends. Anything to do with Blender. A little bit of Critter. I'm going to do more stuff on Critter, by the way, because I did mention I was going to do some stuff about using the perspective tools. The tool set is great in Critter, and obviously, yes, I have to use Photoshop a lot of time for my actual work, but I also, wherever I can, if I can use Critter, I do. I've done loads of stuff, and I've done documentaries where I've had to do drawings of schematics and stuff, and the pencils and stuff that you can do and create inside of Critter are fabulous. Anyway, as I say, I'll stop going on, but please subscribe, tell your mates, and I'll speak to you again. Take care, guys. Bye.